Good morning. Okay.
Morning, Rabbi.
Good morning. Good morning. Again, I hope this time is acceptable. There is, I do have some flexibility, but 9:30 is like in the middle. So I'm trying to. If this works, great. If you want to, you have another time that would be optimal for a greater number. So please let me know. I'll try to be flexible because Talmud Torah de Rabbim is an enormous opportunity, and I don't want to lose out on that. So if somebody would offer me a very good business deal, I would definitely be eager. So if more people will it'll make it easier for more people to come at a different time, then please tell me. I'll try to accommodate, because that's a number one priority. That is a number one priority. So please get back to me, okay? My mayor, you'll do a little footwork or homework or whatever. Thank you. Okay, so we're starting the week, Bezrat Hashem. So Bhagwan used to use an expression. In America, you have a concept called the booster shot. I don't know if they still have it. But in other words, even when a person was inoculated to something, so you would get an additional injection of the same idea. It was a booster. It would keep you, would keep you going with it. So the topic today is discussing brachos. So even though brachos is certainly well known, but it's always good to machazik ourselves with things which even things that we know about, right? Like the Mesilas Yesharim says, I'm not going to tell you new ideas. I'm going to point out things. So here also, we'll see. Maybe we'll learn some new things, but it's always good to go over it and to remind ourselves of how important brachos are in our day. Yodua, So he says it's well known. Maimar Rabbi Sein Zichron Bracha. It's well known from the Gemara and Brachos that Chazal tell us, if anyone derives any pleasure from this world without a bracha, kigodol onsho, how serious the penalty is. You're misusing, as the Gemara, the way the Gemara discusses it. The Gemara says that everything in the in the world, the Gemara quotes a pasuk, Hashemayim Lashem v'aretz nasen livnei Adam, right? That the heavens are Hashem's and the world was given to man. But then it says that everything is Hashem. So the Gemara answers, how do you reconcile the two psukim? One is before bracha and one is after the bracha. Before the bracha, everything is Hashem's. And then after the bracha, then Hashem lets you partake of the world. He wants you to use it. But if you don't say the bracha, so then you are taking something that doesn't belong to you. And he says that this sin is very widespread amongst non-learned people. Below bracha, they eat and they take of the world without saying any brachas. So he says, Yesh machmas chisaron yediyah. Some people is because they're not aware. I was learning with a Talmud of mine recently, and I just mentioned that I need to say a bracha achrona. He says, well, what's a bracha achrona? He didn't know. And there's a fellow who went to yeshiva elementary school, went to yeshiva high school, didn't know what a bracha achrona meant. So not necessarily does everything get passed on. So he says some things people just don't know. Shein yodim shetzarach levarach al davar shenena. V'yesh shein yodin ofen umadbei bracha. Many people just don't know the text of the bracha. That's also a problem. V'yesh machmas chesaron zrizas, and some people just because they're lazy. They're just lazy about things. Now, fine. Now, one thing, brachas are very complicated nowadays. So, in other words, many food items that you have are seriously involved in difficult understandings on brachos, and it is crucial to do your research. You know, you can't necessarily afterwards ask me a question: what do you say on this? What do you say on that? It's there are very difficult halachic decisions that need to be dealt with when it comes to brachas, and we shouldn't play it down, even for us who are careful. And he says one's heart should be pained to see how terrible it is. You go to mitzvahs, you go to simchas, and you go to weddings, you go to chasanas, you go to bar mitzvahs, wherever you're going. They give food around. They put it into their mouths without a bracha. If someone is sensitive to the Dvar Hashem, it should hurt the person al aveira on this lacking. And you can't say anything. Your person feels uncomfortable saying something, and you're seeing people that are ignoring certain halachic norms, and even if you can't say, but it should hurt. There's a very, very famous idea that Reb Chaim Shmulevitz brought down. He said there were 3 people involved with Paro's. We're going to learn about it. You're going to catch up this week. It's not going to be in this week's parsha so much, but in Bolok, there were 3 people that were invited to Paro's counseling on what to do with the Jews. It was Yisro, it was Eov, and it was Bilam. So the Gemara brings down that Yisro, when he heard what Paro wanted, he ran away. When Eov heard what Paro wanted, he was silent. He didn't say anything. And Bilam gave the advice what to do. So it brought down that because Yisro ran away, Yisro was rewarded that his children, his descendants, sat in the Lishchas HaGozis, became Jews, and they became very involved in the Jewish people. Eov, because Eov remained silent, he was punished with terrible Yisurim. And Bilam, because of what he did, he was killed. The Jews killed Bilam. So Reb Chaim Shmulevitz asked the question. He said, "What was it that? What was the difference between Yisro and Eov? Why was it that Eov was given such terrible Yisurim? They realized they couldn't do anything. In other words, Paro wanted. They understood what Paro was looking for, and they didn't want to give that advice. So, what was the difference that because Yisro ran away and Eov was quiet, why was it that Eov was punished with such terrible Yisurim? So he gives a very, very beautiful understanding. He says, what happens when somebody pinches you? You scream. He says, does the screaming mitigate the pain? Does that change anything? Does that do any difference? What did screaming do? Didn't take away the pain. So he said, but that's a natural response. He says, his question about Hashem was showing Eov, how could you stand there when you saw what Paro wanted? Yisro couldn't stand it. He had to run away. He couldn't deal with it. It's like when someone is in pain, they scream, even though the pain doesn't do anything. The screaming doesn't do anything. But you just had to show something. Eov, how could you stand there so docile and say nothing? He says, I want to show you that when a person is in pain, he screams. So that was it's an unbelievable insight that Reb Chaim Shmulevitz has. And over here also, so this is the idea. I mean, if you see somebody doing something, it should hurt us. And even if we can't say anything, but we should start crying inside or screaming inside, something that, they're trampling on Hashem's Torah. And if I can't say anything, and then, but at least it should hurt me on the inside, and I should be crying on the inside. That's what he's bringing down over here. There's so many people that stumble in this. If you don't say anything, what about the covenant of Hashem? And a person should try to say a bracha in a loud voice. I once heard this in the name of someone that they would do that to give, when he would have over people that were not religious, he would say the bracha out loud, having them in mind. They should yishmu kulam v'yedu shetzarich lebara. But even but what he's trying to point out over here is that a person should try to say a bracha out loud to remind people. There's an idea of brachas over here. We shouldn't be, ignorant of that. But he says again, people are not that sensitive to that. People get the impression that it's only for the extreme religious people. They're the only ones that need to say brachos. Everybody else, you don't need. It's, people live with this misconception. And it's so important to try to point it out to them. We should never, ever chas v'shalom short sell a Jew. If you point something out to them, they can very well be very receptive to what you have to say. They should understand that there's nothing in this world that a person takes pleasure in. That you need to say brachas on. Gadel ve'ilons, and he's giving us the brachas over here. It grows on a tree. But again, these things today are so complicated. You really need to be, look into things, because so many things have so many It's not like things are apples and oranges today. Things are made with all sorts of ingredients, and same thing with kashrus. You think it's a simple thing, but you have no idea what can be wrong with orange juice. But you have no concept, what kind of a factory it comes from, and all. Besides, and there you have other issues. But I'm saying even in Chutz La'aretz, there's so many things. You really need to be on top of your game to say brachas properly. And I think it's something we should all take seriously. Being gadol ba'aretz, it goes on the ground. Bercha bar priyadama. You're much better off going back to the basics. That's the idea. Then your brachas come a lot simpler. V'menu lo min ha'eis v'lo min ha'aretz. I remember when I came into America, so they asked me, do you have anything? They were looking for, agricultural goods. So I told them, I said, the only thing I have in my suitcase are things that were grown in factories. I said, you don't have to worry about it. If you don't have somebody to ask, so if you're stuck and you don't know, so again, there's alakol. You can say shakol. So I guess that's what he's. But that's if you have nobody to ask. Baruch Hashem, today with all of our electronics, you can always pop in a question to the web rabbis and whatever, they can give you an answer right away. It's not that we don't have access to finding out answers on different smells, etc. She's going through the different brachas that people say. I'll call Michael Ochel because I was just going through the brachas over here. I don't know if we need to. Hopefully, we're educated in that. Okay, one moment over here. Okay, right. So Gemara asks over here, "Kol anenemina olam hazeh below bracha." If someone derives pleasure from this world without bracha, it's mal. You are misusing things that are hektish. So Gemara says, well, what do you do? How can you rectify the situation? Gemara says, Yelech etzel chacham. Go to a Talmud chacham and let him teach you. This is the rule he wants to say. Misha rotzi lios oved elokim. If a person truly wants to be connected, kashayos lanu alayosenu Yehudim, that we are proud to be Jews. Ma'aminim b'nei ma'aminim b'torah b'kol divrei chachamim u'b'schar va'onesh roy shelo yevush. A person should not be embarrassed. Don't think it's beneath you to learn from someone, even if you're 90 years old or whatever it is, and you're not sure. Can ask a 30-year-old. What's the difference? Whatever. I understand a little bit, but the person needs to put down his own honor. But you chas v'sholem, you don't want to do something that's keneged Hashem. So whoever can teach you, let them teach you what the proper halachas are. You should write down what the brachas are, etc. And they'll teach you the truth. You'll be in a good place. When you're connected to chachamim, you only get smarter. A person should be terrified to put something into his mouth without a bracha. In other words, like we've said many times, the Gemara brings down that even it's a fascinating thing. I mean, that's more kashrus. This is brachas. Again, I'm not sure if the two are interrelated, but the Gemara brings down that when it comes to kosher food and things like that, even the behemoths of tzaddikim, Hashem would watch out for them, because to take something into you that's not kosher, it does severe damage to one's neshama. Again, I'm not sure where brachos fit in over here, but it's certainly in the same league over here. You're putting stolen food into your mouth. In other words, we should hopefully be training ourselves that such a thing can't happen. No matter what, we can't, we're not like, animals eat food too. Animals eat, the whole world eats. Everybody needs to eat. Hashem doesn't want us to be like an animal, though. Hashem wants us to appreciate, when we're saying brachos and things like that, which we'll discuss over here, we're serving Hashem, right? That this is a way of serving Hashem properly, and this is part of it. Fine. Like he says, if someone chas v'shalom would steal from the king, that, right? It's the death penalty. Allah is kama v'kama gozel melech malchei amlochim hakadosh baruch hu knesset Yisrael. V'gam amol b'kodesh chayv misa. Anyone who takes from things which are kodesh, very serious penalty. V'yamru shenena below bracha hu keilu moel. You're taking from kodesh. Hu keilu gozel. It's like you're stealing from hakadosh baruch hu. And again, when they say, when they say it's as if, that means when you go to Shemaim, they're going to say that that's what you did. That's what we have to understand. Listen, he points out this very important idea. Food gives the body physical nourishment. And the brachos that we say, hey mozon hanefesh, that is what sustains our neshama. Shagorem, it causes Shayishra Shefa Kedusha ala Achila. The bracha brings down Kedusha onto the physical food. Val Hamashke. Now, the mom that the Jews ate was totally ruchnius. What we do, I guess, on some level, is we have both. But when we say the bracha, that's what brings out the ruchnius in the food. Our bracha say mozana nefesh. That's what's happening. That's what it says. Kilo ala lechem levado yichya adam. It's not on the bread alone that a person survives. Ki al kol motzi pi Hashem yichya adam. It's only through the mouth of Hashem. That's what it means. Tzaddik ochel l'sova nafsho. The tzaddik satiates himself. Helo ha'ochlim v'shosim below bracha. If people are going to eat without a bracha, lulei shenidodim l'kaf schos, even if we judge them, though, favorably, shehergal nasalam teva, that they just became so accustomed to doing it, Hashem zochrim, that they don't even think about saying it, it would be a terrible thing. Because, again, we have to say, kimat torah hu mahotzo. What are you losing by saying a bracha? You know, are we that hungry that we can't wait a second just to say a bracha? Right, everybody knows the famous story that the chassid asked the Rabbi, he says, "What's the difference between you and me? We both are eating the apple, and we're both saying a bracha." So he says the difference is that you want to eat an apple, you just can't eat the apple, so you have to say the bracha. He says, "I want to say a bracha." Rabbi said, "I want to say a bracha, but I can't just say a bracha, so therefore I have to eat the apple." In other words, what are we focusing on? What's our ikar and what's our secondary thing over here? So how much effort does it take for someone to say a bracha? Tzarech lomer bracha kitzara. Say the bracha ulevarach ala tova, and thank Hashem for the good that He's giving us. Everybody understands that. If someone gave you something, how appreciate you would certainly express your appreciation for what the person gave you. Yahalu al kol min tova, anything that someone gives you. And not only that, but look what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing for you, points out. And as again, if someone gives you something and you thank him, that's a natural response to show your appreciation. You're not an ingrate. You're showing something natural. So how much? But look at Hashem. He says, number one, Hashem is giving it to you, and on top of that, He considers it a mitzvah for you when you say the bracha. In other words, the bracha should be something which should be understood on your part, that you're just expressing your gratitude that Hashem gives it to you. But He says Hashem takes that and turns it into a mitzvah on your behalf. That we give a bracha. Okay, and He gives a schar for that on the bracha. Hayesh chein motok. Is there anything more pleasurable than that? If someone is not on the level of saying a bracha, ein zekim ro alev. It's someone who is bitter. A person should be tried on to be on top of his game. Not to forget brachos. Then it should be something that comes naturally. Below to kabel sheyitnu. He should accept upon himself not to put anything into his mouth without a bracha. Now again, by us, I don't know if by us the fight is on the bracha. But I think the fight might be, how much we're paying attention to what we're saying. In other words, hopefully we're not at that level where we just put food into our mouths or other things without a bracha. The question is, how much do I really think about it, or how quickly do I do it? That would be something that I think should be something that we should appreciate. Those who say brachas get a bracha. Called Kabbaldi now. So look at the other side. Chas Hashem, someone who doesn't say a bracha. Look what he's doing to himself. Okay. All right. Then he's discussing something which was definitely very prevalent. That women were not that well educated, and it was more prevalent by women that they were unaware of brachos because they didn't have that education. Baruch Hashem, I think things have changed in our generation. That Baruch Hashem, women are well educated, and they know that too. But it's important for a parent to to watch over the children, to see that they always make it a positive experience. Brachos. and it'd be good, as the children get older, I guess, see how they memorize it, know it by heart, because not everybody's walking around with a little birchon all the time, and they don't necessarily do it. And the more you make it a pleasurable activity, then the children will do it, right? So that's very, very important that a parent should be and a living example to his family, to the children, how brachas are important. Zek Klal Godel, he says, this is an important rule. Don't be worried about expenses. Whatever you're putting in these areas, to teach people, there's been a beso, and to teach your household, the das, to know these lazakosim, you're giving them an enormous chus. Where does money come? Where does time come in? Where does money come in? Where do all these things figure in when it comes to giving nachas to Hashem? Well, palmim should be tulo shel Torah, just because, in other words, you're going to have to take out time from your important activities. Zel kiyumo, but you are helping your family, and that is your responsibility. That's what it means to be a role model for one's family. Well, Derek, to see, like it says, a slash so Hashem. When it comes for Hashem, hey Pharaoh Torah, you're putting the Torah aside, meaning maybe your personal learning, but that's what you need to do. Ashrei Hasam or Chosef, fortunate is one who's counting his ways, his steps. Lasos Dvar Bito, do things at the proper time. Al Maskunto, in the right way. Baroilish Tadel Bakol Ozu Lachapes Besfarim, looking Sfarim. Or Lishma, listen to people. Velisham Biksav, about the brachos and the halachas of the brachos. Right? There are many Sfarim on brachos nowadays. Like I say, it's not poshet. Sheinu Baki Bem, if you're not careful, if you're not up on all the different ideas. Ad sheyargil b'yoshkuros b'piv, until you know them well. V'chein roilish tadel lios baba anoshim shiyu baki b'berchas chasanim. Right, it's going to other brachas over here. Baruch Hashem, we have printing. In others, they didn't have Sfarim back then, so you had to have everything by memory. We are blessed that we go to many, many simchas, and you're always given all these different birkonim and everything. You can always carry them around, and you have them on your phones. You have wherever you want. Well, Mama Ot Sarach Lizar Berchas Halavona. Okay, now he's going off Berchas Halavona. She had Kabbalah Pnei. You're being Makabel Pnei Shchina, which we just did. Berchos, interesting idea, right? Berchos from the brach of a person. Nika, you can tell if he knows, if he's a Yodea say, you'll know if he's a learned person or he's an unlearned person. Umatov legever, she is titled the Perish Hamilos, even more important to understand what you're saying. Shumavarach v'yiten leiv lechaven, and to have kavana. Shumavarach shari amru tefila or bracha b'li kavana is like a goof without a neshama. It's like a golem. Okay, so I'm just turn this off for a second. So, are there any questions, gentlemen? I hope that it was a chazara for us, which is, I think, always a good thing, And Mitch, I think he has a little bit more on this. Yeah, he still has a little bit more on this. Mitch, will finish it up tomorrow. But again, please get back to me. As I said, Talmud Torah the Rabbi is so important to me. I don't want to lose out. And if there's a time that's better for more people, then I'm certainly open to accommodating whatever is most beneficial. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Just one question. Right. What is the right time limit, for remembering if you forget to say a bracha achrona?
That's an excellent question, Brian. The Gemara says man equal, which means the amount of time it takes to digest. So again, it depends on the item, really. In other words, we generally think when it comes to bread and things like that, they generally assume it's like the amount of time to go for a meal, which is understood to be 72 minutes. But that doesn't work for everything. In other words, as long as you are still satiated from what you ate, then you can still say that bracha achrona. If you're no longer satiated from what you had, then you lose out on that bracha achrona. But again, if you keep eating though, so then we'll say the bracha achrona on as it's going. But if you ate something and then you and you've forgotten, time goes by and you're not really satisfied. If, the satiation from what you ate is gone, it's not one amount of time that works for everything. I saw that also myself. I used to think that it's 70 minutes, but it's not. If you drink a glass of water or something, and then, you need water again, so then what was is over. And same thing with Asher Yatzar, that's a big machlokis achronim. Knows what do you do if someone had to go to the bathroom and he forgot to say Asher Yatzar, and then he needs to go to the bathroom again. So what do you do? In other words, do you say Tuber Asher Yatzar? Did you lose out on that one? These are all delicate issues. It's not so simple. So maybe we'll take a little time and we'll maybe we'll learn, because that's a big issue with the bracha achrona. Maybe we'll learn it this week. But that's the general rule. It has to be that you're still satisfied from it. But I think different foods have different endpoints. So you got to be careful about that. Yeah. Okay. Any other issue? Anything else, gentlemen? We're good. Okay. Have an amazing day. And as I said, please
Thank you
come
very
back.
much. Have a good day.
If this time
Thank
works.
you, Rabbi Sternberg.
Yeah. Hello?
Sternberg.
Yeah,
Yes.
Schneier. Hi, Schneier.
Your grandson wants to meet you.
My grands. Only nachas. Wow, look at that. What beautiful nachas. You're raising an amazing family. Look at that. What li'ayin hara.
He's your grandson.
And my grands, Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Be matzliach. Mitzvah Hashem. We'll be in touch, Schneier. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
All the best. Thank you. Okay. Take care. Oh.